What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. Today we're doing the full review of the Bitaxe Gamma 650 Duo from Solo Satoshi. Um, I go over price, packaging, device specs, the whole shebang, plus final thoughts, pros and cons. So let's go ahead and move the device out of the way. We'll show you the packaging and its contents. So I ordered the 650 Duo and the GT801, a power supply and two cables. It came in a box like this, pretty nice and stout, not too worried about it. Each device was wrapped in a bag like this with a nice static bag over it. Nice touch, Solo Satoshi. I can appreciate the static bag. So underrated. It came with an instruction card like this with the scan QR codes for the Bitaxe setup instructions, the Bitaxe mining community, and the home mining podcast. We'll flip it over there. And thank you for choosing Solo Satoshi, the #1 place to buy Bitcoin home mining. Assembled in the US, shipped from Texas. Awesome. Shipping's nice, especially for me in the United States, in Idaho, of all places. Stickers, can always appreciate a nice set of stickers. So awesome. Great job on packaging, great job on contents. I paid for all four of my, or the two of my miners, plus cables and a power supply, $410.97. Now, that's taxes and shipping. This device was $138.99, and now the price is lower. Thanks a lot, Satoshi, for dropping the prices right after I bought it. Sarcasm there. Yeah, the price war has changed the price of all the gammas and stuff, which I love. The fact that a gamma is now $75 is pretty sweet. So the Gamma Duo, advertised hash rate 1.65 terahash, two BM1370 dual chip or two chips, kind of cool. It does have an included heatsink for the backside of the voltage regulator. It does ship with a Dark Horse heatsink, which I took mine off. If you've seen my video, I actually put on a standard heatsink and clean the anodizing off the bottom to help provide air over the top of this voltage regulator. Stock settings, it ships with 400 on the frequency, 1150 on the core voltage, target temp of 60, minimum fan speed of 25. Now, here's one of the cons. The error rate out of the box is slightly high. Also, out of the box, the voltage regulator gets kind of warm. Now, there's been a healthy discussion in my comments of my last videos. So Satoshi reached out and said, hey, the voltage regulator is safe to 150C. Cool, that's great. I'm glad the voltage regulator is good to that. Here's the problem I had. As I'm testing this device and monitoring it, I was always trying to reel in the voltage regulator temp as best I could. And what I started noticing happening, and unfortunately I didn't catch this on camera, but it's a real problem. Because of how warm the voltage regulator is getting, it's heating up the ESP32. Now, most of the time, ESP32s don't get hot. This one is physically hot to the touch. If I scan it with this, the RF shield of the ESP32 is at 52.8 degrees Celsius. In my experience with ESP32s, and I have a pretty good experience consider the Nerd Miner rig. And if you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. It's stupid and awesome at the same time. On that particular rig, I had the ESP32 S3 Super Minis. They are unshielded. They don't have this RF shield on them. And because they were all bunched in a brick about this big, in fact, I have one right here. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let me grab it from my other bench. These are the ESP32 Super Minis. Because they were bunched like this, they don't normally get hot by themselves. But without active cooling on them, they would shut off and they would reset. I would notice this device disconnecting from my network by watching my router, and Hashwatcher would show it disconnecting and connecting and disconnecting and connecting. So I tried to flash it because I thought maybe there was a corruption on the ESP32 firmware, because again, the firmware is stored, the OS and everything is stored right here on the ESP32. It turns out it was the heat doing it. So keep that in mind, guys. Yes, the voltage regulator is safe to 140, but the components around it might not be. Keep that in mind. No knock against Soul Satoshi. I just don't think, I'm sure they understand it, but I don't think they realize that it heats the components that much around it. That was my experience with it. So, with that in mind, um, crazy thing is this is more efficient than a gamma. 16.16 joules per terahash or watts per terahash right now. When I overclock it, it actually goes down to 14.17, 14.5. So it gets even more efficient, which is crazy cool. The fact that this device slightly a bit uses a bit more power, but is more efficient than a gamma is awesome. Okay, dual chip miners, they're crazy. I love it. 5-volt devices, crazy. I love them. So let's talk about the power supply. That's where my glaring issue comes from. Two glaring issues: the thermals, which they can tell me all day that it's safe that way, but I don't like it. The power supply. So this one in its stock settings right now is running at 26.7 watts, which means it's exceeded the 30-watt limit of the power brick. So my advice, if that's the case, and since that's the case, don't even bother getting the power supply. You're on Solar Satoshi's website. Go ahead and buy a Meanwell 50 watt and the cables you need to hook it up. They sell everything right there. They're almost always in stock. I never see them out of stock of that stuff. Just pick it up. Just get that stuff anyways. You'll be just fine. The case it ships in is nice. Soul Satoshi makes a really nice 3D printed stand. It leaves the back open so you can put some, if you just wanted to throw a little fan back there, it would work just fine. The case is good. The board layout is good. I don't see any problems with it. I'll hold this up here. Right here shows the assembled in the US. Right here shows the OSMU logo. And then obviously 650 Duo Bitaxe right there. Solid build quality. I don't see any glaring issues with the build quality. So let's talk about pros and cons. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Pros, super efficient, and when you overclock it, it gets even more efficient, which is awesome. Okay, my standard overclock I have set up right now is 512 on the core frequency, and 1193 on the measured ASIC voltage. I always leave the target temp at 60, and then I actually turn up the minimum temp to 50. So solid device, runs at about 29 watts when I do that. 28 watts, I believe, actually. So it overclocks well, but you have to reel in that temperature and that error rate as well. A silicon lottery is real. You're gonna have to tweak those settings to get it however you want yours. Another pro for me is this is a tinkerer's device, and I love that fact. And that can also be a con, so we can put that in both categories, pro and con. It's a tinkerer's device. This is not a new user-friendly device. If you're brand new to buying Bitaxes and using them and tinkering with them, don't buy a Gamma Duo. Buy a Gamma and start there, or buy even an 801. Actually, the GT 801 is a good one to buy, but don't buy a Gamma Duo until you're ready to tackle that tinkering and slightly adjusting settings just to get it dialed in just right. This isn't a plug and play friendly device in my mind, in my opinion, and in my experience. Because in plug and play devices, if I can plug in a Gamma, throw in my address, and call it a day, and it's fine, that's a plug and play. This one you cannot do that with. You're gonna have to tinker with it. So cons: power supply is terrible. Don't get it. It's not. I'm not saying it's a fire hazard, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that power supply is not rated for what this is. If you're following the 80% rule, technically 30 watts is rated for this device. 80% rule is always 80% of the maximum power, which would be 24 watts and then no higher. So um, you're going to have to spend a little bit of extra money to get this right. You're going to have to add some heat sinks to it. You're going to have to add some sort of cooling solution. Now, you don't have to go and do what I did and put it in a tiny chip hub case like this. This isn't necessary, but definitely another fan at the back blowing on the board is going to be needed. if you don't want it to, like I said, mine was cooking the ESP32. So yeah, this is not a new user-friendly device, and I think that's going to be where I kind of call it here on this video. This is not a user-friendly device. This is not a new user-friendly device. This is one you're going to have to tinker with. So do I recommend buying it? I'm split right down the center of the board here, 50-50. If you're a tinker and you want to do some settings on it, yes, buy it. You're going to have fun tinkering with this one. If you're brand new and you've never done this, never played with these before, no. Buy a Gamma, buy a GT801. I think you'll be better off there. Some final thoughts and kind of my opinion here, and this is just speculation. I feel like, and again, this is my opinion, I feel like this one was kind of, it feels more, I don't want to say like an afterthought, but it feels like it was kind of rushed out. Like it was put out there to compete, and it doesn't feel like it's fully finished. Or maybe it is, and then it just doesn't feel like it's definitely not user friendly, and I think that's where the problem is. And maybe that's why I think it feels like I'm using the Super Hex 703. That was a device that I really had to work on and dial in to get it exactly where I wanted it, into a good, comfortable spot where it wasn't running so hot that it could hurt things around it. And I think that's why and that's kind of why I think that. That's why I think I don't think it was an afterthought. I think it's more of a not quite, not quite what what it was hyped up to be, because it does have some inherent problems. The power supply is a problem. The device is severely undervolted in its stock configuration. The temps actually get better when you overclock it, which is kind of crazy. That tells me it's undervolted. So yeah, I'm gonna end that right here. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you have a Gamma Duo? Have you seen them? Have you used them? What are your overclocks? Mine's been 512 and 1193. It's been solid for me. 2.2 terahash, wonderful, super efficient when it's that way too. So I think that's great. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts, guys? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Come over to the Jellyfish Discord. The link in my bio for that. Have a chat with me. What's your thoughts on this? Um, yeah, I think that's it, guys. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. Like and subscribe, please. We're trying to push that subscriber number up. We're at 215, which is awesome as of today of recording this video. So, yeah, peace out, guys.